outdoor community. How's it going today? My name is Caitlin and I work with Denver Parks and Rec with outdoor recreation. And we've been having a really good spell here of some nice warmer weather this spring. So as we're thinking about maybe doing some spring cleaning or trying to just find things to do around the house right now, I was thinking that we could maybe go over some gear today. Looking at different ways that we can maintain our gear, keep it in tip-top shape, and then maybe also do a couple repairs to some things that are pretty common of happening out in the backwoods. So if you're like me, you have a couple things that maybe you're needing to tend to. So I just wanted to run you through a couple of things that I found helpful in doing some repairs. So first things first, we're going to take a look at some hiking poles that I have here. So these right here are some MSR poles that we use quite a bit in our hiking trips and snowshoe trips with outdoor recreation. And I have two different poles to show you here to see maybe how we can help fix any of these poles that don't hold taut. So this first style here is essentially just kind of a twisting mechanism that normally you're able to twist in place and have the pole stay set. However, with my pole here, I'm having some issues. So the first thing with this kind of pole that we're going to want to do is basically to unscrew everything. So on this lower portion, if you can see here, there's kind of like a toggle that goes back and forth. You can adjust it just by kind of screwing it, let's see, clockwise to clamp down and counterclockwise to go back up. And oftentimes when these poles just don't capture, it's because you just need to adjust these toggles here. So I'm gonna try to raise my toggle a little bit, and then we're gonna put it back in here. And I'm just going to try to tighten this here. Aha, so it actually captures. So now this part is good. However, I need to do the same thing with my toggle here. So on this one, it looks like it's raised just a little bit too much. So I'm going to twist this toggle down just a tad, and then see if that works, if it's going to capture or not. All right, and there we go. So that did the trick. That is pretty much the most common kind of fix that you can do really easy on the trail as you're going. But I know the more that these poles get used, the more that these toggles on the inner part can kind of get worn, especially in cold weather. It's really easy for some of that plastic to snap off if you don't know what you're doing with it. So that is my twist lock mechanism there. I have another pole here that I'll show you. And for this pole, it uses a clip. So right now, the clip is actually engaged, but I'm still able to move my pole in and out. So for this one, I'll get up a little closer so hopefully you can see. If you see, there's this little screw here. So what needs to happen with this, I'm going to kind of adjust where I want that pole height. And I'm going to disengage my clip. And then all this is twisting this little screw here. So this here is going to tighten down. And once I feel that resistance start to start, I'm going to keep twisting and twisting. And then once I feel some resistance, I'm going to pop this clip down. And actually, it's really hard to pop this clip down, so I probably added a little too much resistance. So I'm going to back up the opposite way, try again to engage that clip. So that had some good resistance on it. Now, this pole is set. So those are two different kinds of ways that you can make sure that your mechanisms here on your hiking poles are engaging. All right, so now that our hiking poles are in tip-top shape, let's take a look at something else. What else can we take a look at? So I have some tent poles here. And in the field, if you're in like a windy storm, or you're camping with a dog and the dog wakes up because he hears all the squirrels outside, makes a run for it. These tent poles can be pretty easy to bend. Fortunately, my tent right now is in awesome shape because it's pretty much new. So I don't have a bent pole to show you how to repair, but I want to talk about some things that you can do, both a quick fix and something longer term. So say that, my lucky dog woke up, made a leap for it, and totally bent some of my tent poles. If there's any kind of bending in it, something that we can do real quick in the field is a splint. So we have a couple options. If you were smart enough to plan ahead for something like this, or if your tent came with a repair piece to it, oftentimes it will look something like this. This is a lightweight, essentially metal repair part that a lot of your tents will come in, or you can purchase like a tent repair or a tent pole repair kit. So what you're going to do, say that I have a bend right here in my tent pole. I'm essentially going to thread this on the very end, and I'm going to find where my bend is the weak spot, or if your tent pole has splintered, this will do the exact same repair for it. So you're just going to line it up with that portion of the tent pole that is needing some repair, and then you're going to take your trusty duct tape here, and you're essentially just going to duct tape this repair piece to the rest of the tent pole here. So I'm going to do that real quick, pretending like we have a bend. So some common things just to look out for when you are camping with these tent poles is being aware of the kind of weather that you're in. Oftentimes in the winter time, these poles get really fragile with kind of changing of the seasons with the weather. So just be mindful of that when you're setting it up. It's also pretty easy to bend if you have a really cold spell of weather and you're just trying to fumble through and set up your tent really quickly. So you're just going to give a wrap on either end just like this, and that should do the trick. That's a quick, easy fix in the field. What happens if you don't have this little piece to repair here? Well, you probably have an extra stake lying around. If you don't have an extra stake, even something like a stick could potentially be something that you could use, or if you have any cooking utensils, if you have like a fancy titanium spoon, or anything just rigid that's going to hold that structure for you. You can also use it to splint. Same thing, same purpose. You're just going to line this up with wherever that bend is. Or if you have a split pole, you can just wrap duct tape around it. But yeah, you're just going to attach this like so. All right, some other issues that we can run into. Just going to put this down. Some other issues we can run into with our tents are some tears in the fabric. So there are specific patches that are made for the mesh part of your tent. So for your zipper door, your dog sees that squirrel and makes a lunge for it, and they're inside the tent, but they don't realize there's mesh there and they tear through. Hopefully that doesn't happen to you, but it has before. So you can buy these patches from MSR. They make really good adhesive patches that you can just stick on to that mesh part of the tent. Also, I have some patches here. Gearaid makes some really awesome patches. I've used these a ton, and it comes in this kind of combo kit where it has, you can either pick out specific colors, or this kit that I have here has both black patches as well as clear patches. So that's another thing that you can do for your tent. Or if you have extra material in the tent that I have here with me, it actually gave us some extra pieces of material for the tent itself, for the rain fly as well, and the ground tarp. So that's pretty cool. So you can carry those into the field with you if you need to do a repair. I'm not very much of a big sewer, so things like this take a little more time, but if you're in a quick fix kind of mode, different kinds of patches can help you out with that. Also, these patches can be used for pretty much any synthetic or technical material. I have, oops, sorry that was loud. I have one of my favorite jackets here. I didn't use the black material patch, but I used the clear, and this has helped my insulation in my jacket from escaping the coat here. So if you see this here, this white part is the insulation, and all I did was cut out a little hole from one of those patches and adhered it on just by sticking it on with my finger and just letting it bond to that material. There's another patch up here. Also, some good things to note about materials and getting holes in them. Be very mindful of campfires. All of these holes here were from when I delayered because I didn't need my coat anymore, and I put it at my feet and I forgot about embers in a campfire. So just be mindful of that. The best way to take care of your gear is to make sure that it doesn't get any injuries first. So that's another option. Some things that are really common right now. Just definitely take care of that gear. And while we're waiting to go out into the backcountry for extended periods of time, staying at home, being safe, it's a good time to just inventory all those clothing items, check for anywhere that can be just repaired right now. So those are some things there. Also, I wanted to talk about, there is this Nick Wax stuff to revive your rain gear. So this stuff is awesome. All you have to do is add a little bit to your wash for any rain repellent kind of items. So rain pants, rain jackets, things like that. And this does a really, really good job at reviving the water repellency factors in that material. It's not something that you have to do all the time, but just every maybe couple months, depending on the use of that garment, it's a really good way to get a lot longer lifespan out of that item. Also, some other things that you can get to help with water repellency. There's this thing called Snow Seal. I love this stuff for my shoes. It's the best stuff out there in my opinion. It essentially is like a beeswax, and you can put it on your leather uppers. So in my hiking boots, I'll show you here, they're made of leather, and I can use this Snow Seal stuff on it just to keep reviving the waterproof capabilities of it. You essentially just want to have a rag out with you as you're going to do this, but the manufacturer, I believe, recommends that you heat up your shoe first. So I took a hairdryer to this a little bit and then just made it warmer, and that's going to help the leather absorb the seal in it. You always want to test in an inconspicuous area. So back here on this heel, just going to take that. I should probably be doing this with a rag, not my hand, but you kind of get the idea. You can go ahead and give your boots another coat of that as we kind of get ready for a rainy season, hopefully some rain. I know it's really hot right now and I'm loving it, and we're supposed to get up to potentially high 80s on Thursday. So do the stuff before you actually need to do it. It just makes life a lot easier. All right, another thing that we can do for shoes, shoe goo. I don't know if you all know about this stuff. This is actually pretty new to me. However, it's pretty awesome. If you have a shoe, these are pretty new boots. I haven't gotten too many trips into them, but I have had shoes where, you know, portions of the sole are coming off. This essentially is like a flexible, transparent sealant. So you can use that on your shoes to get those soles stuck back together. Also, a really, really good application for this as well is to help patch your sleeping pad. So I have a sleeping pad here that has been repaired in a couple different ways. So you have some options when you're looking at the sleeping pads. So with shoe goo, again, it is essentially just a transparent kind of goo. It's like a super heavy duty glue. And you just apply that to wherever there's a hole in your sleeping pad, It does look pretty gooey. You can kind of see these spots here where the shoe goo has gone on it, but it's flexible, so you can still make sure to pack down your sleeping pads pretty small. It's gonna be flexible enough to do that. Also, with your sleeping pad, another option here, this is a Thermarest, and you can send in your Thermarest to have it professionally patched by the manufacturer, and it comes out looking like this. So they match the exact material to it, pretty much circles. There's a couple patches on here. There's one over on this side that you can see right there. So that's an option as well. Again, you don't have the luxury of sending it to a manufacturer if you're out in the field and you get a leak. So having that shoe goo in your repair kit is a really good solution for a quick fix out on the trail. All right. Let's see, what else do we have? I think those are all the materials that I have here to talk about today. I do want to mention having a speedy stitcher. If you have some material repairs that need to be made, but they're not with like lightweight, thin fabrics, you can get a speedy stitcher. It's like an awl that it's used for heavier fabrics, so things like leather or things like nylon. So if you're a sailor, you can do like some stitch work and patching up with your mainsail or jib or different things like that with a speedy stitcher, or really any fabric in between. So that's also a good investment to have on hand if you need to do some repairs. All right, so hopefully your shoes are gonna get set. Hopefully your sleeping bags are set. Any fabric items like your sleeping bags, you can also use those adhesive patches on those to keep that down fill or synthetic fill in them. So I'd encourage you all to go through your gear, see what you have, see what could use a little TLC, and take a little bit of time now while you have it to make sure that everything is up and running for your next trip. Again, my name's Caitlin. I'm with Outdoor Recreation with Denver Parks and Rec. And our next segment is tomorrow morning. It's Thursday at 10 a.m. here on Facebook Live. And I'm gonna show you how to cook on a camp stove, one of my favorite recipes. It'll be a nice treat for us to indulge in first thing in the morning. So be sure to join me here on that. Also, Denver Parks and Rec has a ton of other programming that's happening this week and for the foreseeable future. So go ahead to denvergov.org. Go ahead and check out that schedule, and maybe there will be something there for you, for kiddos, everyone in between. So I hope you folks have a good rest of your day. As always, have fun and be safe, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow.